What's up, party people? Happy hump day. Welcome to SJU. I'm here with the Wednesday crew, Kim and Eric, and we are catching up. I don't remember why we weren't here Monday, but we're making up for it. We're going to talk about that Boba Fett trailer because, man, that was sick. And we're pairing it. What goes up must come down because we're also going to talk. About Mobius, Morbius, whatever his name is. We're also gonna talk about some sweet casting news for Chris Nolan's new movie. And again, some less cool casting news. Chris Pratt is also Garfield. So we have all that plus an Eternals junket to discuss. And let's just stop. Let's start at the start with the Book of Boba Fett trailer that came out. And I mean, I'm kind of an easy mark. I think The Mandalorian's like the best Star Wars thing that came along in a very long time. And I'm so ready for more of this. Eric, you call it The Sopranos meets Boba Fett, like a real organized crime show. But do you think this is going to look in more Sopranos or more gaudy to you, Eric? What are you thinking?
Well, hope for Sopranos. Yeah.
Pause to appreciate that Lucasfilm, like the battle scarred Boba Fett armor Lucasfilm logo. Nice touch. Anyways.
Oh, yeah, that is cool. It's funny because, there was that Star Wars show, I believe it was going to possibly called Underworld, the one that there's 50 scripts of that never got made, that Lucas developed, the live action one, that eventually we heard would be centered around Boba Fett and very much about like the criminal underworld. It feels like a lot of ideas that didn't happen eventually get kind of versions of made in Star Wars. Yeah, I feel like we're going to get a bit of that here. And I think it's a really cool thing to explore. I will say this trailer didn't blow me away. Like, I'm wearing my Boba Fett hoodie, guys. Clearly I'm all in. But the trailer, I was like, it's okay. Like, I'm happy to see it. I'm happy to see Tamara Morrison and Ming-Na Wen. There was nothing in this trailer specifically that I was like, hell yeah. But I do like that we're going to kind of go into this corner of Star Wars more, even as we can joke that Tatooine continues to be the most important, unimportant planet we've ever seen.
I was going to ask, how big is like the settlement on Tatooine? Are there major cities on Tatooine too? I thought it was like Space West Virginia, no offense, but just like there wasn't much going on.
We're gonna go to Moss Vegas, Moss New York. We're gonna see it, Moss London. We're gonna see it all in this one.
Kim, how are you feeling after this?
Yeah, like Eric, I'd say it didn't blow me away, but what I did like about it was the tone. It definitely leads on from The Mandalorian, and that's one of the things that I loved about that. One of many things. The tone it creates, and it definitely captures that. And also, it does this really good job of putting this big question mark over how bad or good Boba Fett will be. Some of his language where he says Jabba ruled with fear, I intend to rule with respect. On the surface sounds like, yeah, he's a good dude, but what if you disrespect him? How ruthless will he be? We've seen how ruthless he can be when he just remorselessly assassinated all the people in Jabba's throne room at the end of The Mandalorian. So I'd be interested to see how evil he becomes. I want to see him to lean into that evil, to be honest. But
I guess good. I think why I like the trailer so much is it sets up like a really interesting story premise, which is kind of taking over the throne of Jabba the Hutt, and can you do things, a different way? It's very actually Godfather-ish of, Michael Corleone saying, I can do things, we can go legit, or we can maybe do this without as much violence and who knows what. But there's also this void left by the Empire, right, at this part in the timeline. They're kind of on the outskirts anyways, but this is post-Empire, pre-First Order, right? Am I getting that right? Where they are? So yeah, I mean, how are they going to have to take over the child slave business that creates stormtroopers and stuff like that? What kind of economy are they inheriting in this underworld? I don't think we've really ever gotten into that aside from the odd, death sticks vendor. Some little details I love for this. Does he keep all of his money in his helmet?
I don't think he normally does. I'm guessing there's a moment where that happens. It would be funny every time he takes his helmet off.
That's just his pocket change, yeah.
Those weren't spurs we were hearing. We were hearing the chain.
And then what's up with those with the energy shield people who surround them? Do we know anything about who they might be, or the kind of fighting style that they're dealing with?
No, but those are pretty cool energy shield. I'll definitely say that. And I like seeing Jennifer Beals in there. It's Star Wars is a great place to kind of like, have these people that like, you always loved and maybe you haven't seen in a while, like Carl Weathers, and just be like, look, it's Jennifer Beals and she's a Twi'lek or a Twi'lek, however you like to pronounce it. What you were saying, Kim, I agree is interesting part of this show, because like Boba Fett, everyone has joked about the fact that he was like the most popular character with like the least amount of screen time to really like, he was so popular because he looked awesome.
Yep.
But
less is more for cool
less is more. The first scene most people saw him in, holiday special aside, was Vader saying no disintegrations. Like, oh, this guy, he just disintegrates left and right. So it is interesting to see like the way I laughed about the way this trailer ended. It's a very odd beat to end a trailer on, which is, you may speak freely. Like usually you end your trailer on like kick-ass moment.
Yeah.
This is like, hey, everyone talk. I'm open to ideas. Which is a strange way to end your trailer, but actually an interesting character beat, because I think you're right, Kim. It probably will kind of look at a conflicting nature within this guy and kind of what side will he fall on.
I was like, yes, speak freely, as if to say, speak freely and see what happens.
Right.
Yeah, there still might be a disintegration coming after that line.
Yes.
But yeah,
he pauses before his disintegrations now. He doesn't rush into them.
It's classic mob movie stuff of trying to unite, the Twi'leks, the Clatoonians, or whatever. It's very much Gotti, uniting the 5 boroughs, the Bronx, Manhattan, Staten Island.
In your favorite movie, Gotti.
In my favorite movie, Gotti. So, I am totally on board for a high budget Star Wars Gotti, and I think everyone else should be. But yeah, you're right. There wasn't like a mind blowing visual punch in this trailer, aside from just being really happy to see them Ming-Na and have a lot of fun together. So I'm excited to see all of them back. And when does this come out? How much time do we have?
Right before the end of the year. Like, is it the 29th?
29th.
Remember that? Yeah. December 29th.
December.
Okay, we got a ways. So I'm sure we'll see more. And do you think they will do like a holiday special nod? Will he ride a dinosaur at any point? I mean, they might.
I bet they do. I mean, like, look, they gave him that weapon in The Mandalorian because Favreau wanted it in there. So yeah, I think they love putting stuff like that in. So I wouldn't be shocked.
This is all leading up to Boba Fett riding a dinosaur. So
yes,
just gotta hold on till then.
We're getting Aquaman on that seahorse in the sequel, so we can see Boba Fett ride a dinosaur.
All right. Well, unless there's anything more to say, should we move from trailer 1 to trailer 2?
Sure.
Okay. This is like when the optometrist is like 1 or 2, and like one looks good and the other looks horrible.
I literally just did that last week for the first time in 2 years, so I get your reference well.
Yeah. Raptor? Oh, God, I used to know what that thing, what that machine was called. Anyways, we're on to Morbius, and wow. What if Venom had no sense of humor and starred an actual Batman? I have less than zero interest in this movie after watching this trailer, aside from maybe to laugh at it. But was this doing anything for anyone else here? I
will say I thought this was fine. Okay. I'm not innately excited by. I used a long-time Spider-Man comic book reader. I was not like, finally a Morbius movie. I don't think that was one many people were dying for. I have a lot of like about the actual movie's existence, but this trailer, I thought it was okay. I like how he looks, like the little glimpses we're getting of full vamp Morbius. I can't I don't want to go beyond that. I'm not like, oh man, this looks freaking Morbius mania. But I did think like it's fine. I like I going in from indifferent to fine. That was my increase on this trailer.
Funnily enough, and it wasn't inspired by this. I just recently rewatched Vamp, the 80s film with Grace Jones, and her transformation reminds me a bit of Morbius's.
You can see Jared Leto, by the way, totally being like, "This is me as Grace Jones."
But yeah, other than that, I thought that the story feels to me like a remake of The Fly. He does some unorthodox experiment which goes wrong, but it's cool at first. He enjoys his powers, and then he turns into this monster, and there's a love interest caught up in it. So That was my take. Yeah.
Pretty standard. It's they're really just going full Venom with it, but I think that without the Tom Hardy Venom Michelle Williams love triangle, it's just not the same. Jared Leto has like a charm deficit that I think he needs to overcome for me personally, and this looks like a very Jared Leto heavy project. You're following him from start to finish, and it's sad when the most interesting things about this are like the little nods to connected. There was a Daily Bugle shot right there, little nods of connective tissue to other pieces of this franchise. So what universe is this taking place in?
That is a wonderful, confusing question, because as many people have pointed out now, it's like there are references in here to everything. Like Venom obviously gets a couple direct nods, but then we see the Spider-Man thing saying murderer, except that it's the Tobey Maguire suit. And then people are like, oh, the Oscorp logo, except it's the logo from the Andrew Garfield movies. It feels like such a hodgepodge that I don't know if there's any way to make sense of it as far as like, it's in this universe. It feels like Sony is just being like, yeah, put that in there. Put that in there. You know?
You think?
Yeah, it feels a little bit like they're stubbornly clinging on to the stuff they own, and they will put their vision of it in there.
Yeah.
But the stuff they own is sort of like MCU adjacent, if not fully in it, right? So I think this is all got to be resolved in the next Spider-Man movie, right? Like this will get sorted out.
Chance, but then I was trying to remember my timeline here because the pandemic made things so confusing. I think Morbius was going to once open. I know it was going to open before Venom, and I think they would have both opened before, before No Way Home. So I've seen people wonder, like, oh, maybe this will make sense after Spider-Man comes out because this opens a month later. Part of me thinks it won't. Part of me thinks that, again, when they made this movie, which again was made before Venom 2 and Spider-Man 3, the new Spider-Man 3, they were just like, put it all in there. And it almost might make it even more confusing, to be vague about the very end of Venom 2 for those who haven't seen it. But Venom 2 kind of gave you a little more of a hard line of like, universes, and I think this is just going to muddy the water in a way that you kind of have to ignore. I could be wrong. Maybe they're going to make it all make perfect sense.
Maybe, but yeah, I think they're just going to try to make their own pocket universe, interest be damned, because they did have they even had a Black Cat Easter egg
and Rhino. That's right,
and Rhino. So I think that that's what else does Sony have? They're not going to make another Men in Black. Literally what else do they have? I have no idea. So this is it.
Jumanji, man.
Jumanji. They're pushing all their chips in on Morbius. It's just, it's interesting that he's a Spider-Man villain and he could interact with Venom, I guess, at some point. But vampires have been done 6 ways from Sunday. Like him doing it because he tried to find a cure for some disease and became a Batman is not. It's nothing new to the table for me personally. So I'm out. I'll watch it because I have to, but I would not voluntarily enter the theater to see Morbius if there were other options.
As the mild defender of this trailer, we were talking right before we started filming about the fact that it did amuse me in a rolling eyes way of them using People Are Strange, even because that is so famously connected to the Lost Boys. Like it's like, oh, we're using a song from a vampire movie you love. So they definitely want you to think of things you like, guys. Think of Spider-Man movies you like and vampire movies you like.
They needed to cut to a very oily man playing the saxophone if they wanted to do the right musical reference.
Well, funnily enough, that when he's in front of the cave, what was that stringed thing? It looked like a stringed instrument that that the bats fly through. I thought maybe he's gonna start playing the harp or whatever it was. And he's
going to get the band in here.
Exactly. There's some kind of musical thing. And he asked people to run, before he gets started because he's really bad.
I do like the idea of Jared Leto saying, like, what if my character played a harp? Like, oh, God.
Of course.
All right, Jared.
Of course.
Right.
Oh, brother. All right, let's move on to something more hopeful. Christopher Nolan movies. Those are always hopeful. About Oppenheimer, the guy who created the atomic bomb. Cheery Nolan stuff. But we do have, he always gets really great actors, and this one's no exception. His next film, Oppenheimer, has added Matt Damon. You know him as Dr. Mann from Interstellar, the baked potato guy. And Robert Downey Jr. joining, is it Cillian or Killian? I always get it wrong. Cillian. There you go. Cillian Murphy in this film. Previously reported Emily Blunt is in talks to join. She fits right in there in a Nolan movie. Yeah, you know the deal. He's writing and directing. It's a true story. As far as I know, he might add some sci-fi stuff. But it's about Robert Oppenheimer, a scientist who ran the Manhattan Project that created the atomic bomb. This isn't coming out for a while. July 2023.
That's right.
So I guess all we have is a cast and a writer director, which is enough for me. I mean, hell yeah. Look, I did not love Tenet as much as his other films, but I love that he gets to do whatever he wants at the budgets and the scale that he gets. So I will keep supporting that, because he's one of the last people who gets to do that. It's weird to say Christopher Nolan gets to have fun, but he clearly gets to do his own thing on screen. And I'm excited for really any project that he's excited about. So what about you guys? Does this cast move the needle?
I think it's really fun cast. And, as someone who admires Nolan, but sometimes some of his stuff leaves me cold, and some of it I love, sometimes it can feel a little sterile, his movies, to me. And I really like the energy of Downey being in this movie. Because again, I'm not saying like there's like no levity or no humor in Nolan's movies, but sometimes they seem a little self-serious, and Downey kind of intrinsically brings that a little bit of twinkle in his eye. So I think that might be a fun energy in the midst of a Nolan movie to have Downey in the mix.
Yeah, I completely agree with that, what you said about Robert Downey Jr. Definitely. I sometimes feel that an overly starry cast can overpower a film, and it can put me off personally. But June absolutely proved me wrong when it was, I felt perfect casting throughout. So yeah, I like you said, I'm looking forward to this because it's Nolan, and yeah, Tenet, not my cup of tea, but some of his other stuff is brilliant. So
yeah, I mean, this would be tricky because it doesn't really scream, visual spectacle, short of the mushroom cloud here and there. So this is kind of, a different type of film for him. I can't think of anything this subdued since like The Prestige, even, which was my favorite Chris Nolan movie. And we know Cillian's is playing Oppenheimer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. The other interesting tidbit about this that I'm looking at is it's rated R. So Nolan Unchained. I guess we're getting, sex scenes, or was there like some sword fights we didn't know about, or they just like to curse a lot? I wish I knew more about the actual man and the story before I started talking. But yeah, any excitement for because this is his first R-rated movie since, like, God, what was that the crime one, Insomnia? Insomnia, right?
Yeah, with Pacino and Robin Williams. Yeah, it's just going to be interesting. It is, famously, this is, his divorce from Warner Brothers. He was so unhappy with HBO Max thing going on and whatnot. And so he was a free agent, and everyone wanted him, and Universal got him. So, will this be like business as usual for him? Because again, as much as he was pissed at Warner Brothers distribution, they still let him creatively do whatever he wanted. Will this feel like another Nolan movie, or will it be like, the next wave of his career, and like maybe he'll do a little bit of a spin on things, or just change things up a little bit? Because I hadn't thought about that until you mentioned it, Spencer, that he hadn't done an R-rated movie in quite a while. I am curious to see, will it feel just the same with the Universal logo at the front, or maybe it'll feel a little bit different this time?
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm ready to experience an atomic explosion directed by Christopher Nolan. That is going to be the loudest fucking thing you've ever heard in a theater. His volume is cranked so high on just like the score, that to be sitting in a theater when an atomic bomb goes off, directed by him, I don't know. I'm going to be plastered to the back of the seat. I'm a little scared. But
hopefully he doesn't pull that muffled dialogue thing with Downey.
Yeah, they'll be having a conversation while there's a mushroom cloud, like you can barely hear anything.
Robert did some great improv, and I made sure you couldn't hear it.
All right, well that cast is stacked, and we're all psyched for it. Now on to more troubling the consolidation of monopoly power in Hollywood has gone too far. because Chris Pratt is not only Mario, he is also Garfield. There's he's taking on the iconic role from Bill Murray, and oh god, I'm blanking on the guy who did it.
Lorenzo
for the cartoon.
Music.
Thank you. And then Chris Pratt. Now, one of these things is not like the others. I would describe his voice as generic, and he doesn't exactly seem like a master of I don't know, of many voices or characters, and yet he's playing two animated people with a long history of very distinctive voices. What's going on here? What kind of dirt does he have on people that is letting Chris Pratt play all these parts? Or are you like, yes, I totally imagine Parks and Rec Chris Pratt voice asking for lasagna?
Well, I feel a little similar. When he got cast as Mario, I talked about how it would amuse me how angry people were, just because it didn't really matter that much to me, but I thought it was funny that people got so mad. This one even more so in a way, because guys, it's not, Garfield, we kind of all agreed sucks, right? And
whoa.
Like it's not a great comic strip, and it's not an amazing character.
There's a lot of nostalgia for it.
There's nostalgia. I
cut my teeth on Garfield.
I had like 10 collections of Garfield as a kid. But then I realized, what? It's the same joke over and over. Well, same 3 jokes, I should say. He's gonna push Odie off that table. But yeah, so I saw someone, Patrick Willems on Twitter, say that it is funny that people are so mad about a movie none of us are gonna see. In a way, I'm like, if Chris Pratt wanted to troll us, it would be these back-to-back things. So I'm like, if it is masterfully done, sir, because it is weird. It's just weird, right? Just like Mario, and the fact that this is so close to that. Now he's going to voice Garfield, and everyone instantly started joking about him taking over every role, because it's just a very strange thing, and I don't know why. Like, I like him in the Lego Movie, where he's voicing, a normal dude.
Yeah, his whole character is normal dude. Like, right, perfectly
like
average.
You said, like Spencer, he's not like a distinct vocal whatever. So it's just very strange that he's playing these very specific characters now, and I don't quite get it.
Yeah.
No,
go ahead, Kim.
Yeah, I mean, I hate this casting. It's lazy. It's so lazy, and it just makes me roll my eyes. I don't mind.
Is Garfield lazy? Is it as lazy as Garfield?
And it hates Mondays
on a Monday.
It's so better.
But loves lasagna.
But I won't mind it as long as they cast an age-appropriate Arlene.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
what
I
about
don't want
normal?
like with Mario, Princess Peach, almost 20 years younger.
Even in animation, they can't get that right.
Like you said, Spencer, they just have to get normal right, and I'll be.
They
good.
Just got to nail normal. Who's going to play John? Is the real question. Will that be is this a CGI live action mix? Do we know yet?
I don't think or is it? I felt like it's all animated. I could be wrong though. I thought this one might be all animated, unlike the Bill Murray ones. But
I could see Chris Pratt as John, as the hapless cat owning guy, failed cartoonist. Like that could be a fun role for him. But Garfield's an icon. I hope he records another video. Did you see his, I think it was Instagram or something, where he talks about his deep passion and he always dreamed about playing Mario.
Yeah.
and he can't believe this is happening. I hope he does it word for word, but with Garfield.
No, just put the same video and he dubs himself. The word Garfield instead of Mario.
Well, this continues to be weird. That Chris Pratt is doing all these things. He's still got another Jurassic Park movie coming, and obviously Guardians 3, which brings us to our first chat question from Adam Halbert. Says, do you think Guardians 3 is Chris Pratt's last chance to be a fun leading actor? I've really lost faith in him lately. Look, he's got Star-Lord for sure, and he'll always have Star-Lord, and he'll be able to play that as long as he's alive in the MCU. But yeah, he's got I don't want to say he has to go away for a while, but he has to do something different, I think, to kind of rejuvenate his career. Not rejuvenate, because clearly he's doing fine. He's doing great.
He's just falling into roles right now.
But I think we're getting that. We've reached peak Pratt, and I think we need to back off. Otherwise, he risks being overexposed. Although that, I'm sure, is not a problem for his bank account. But do you think that this is the end for Chris Pratt? Guardians 3 is like his last hurrah, or will he work his way back into I don't even want to say the world's good graces, but like a very vocal contingent of people on film Twitter's good graces.
No, not at all. I think he's got, yeah. I mean, I think like you, he will need to switch gear at some point, as most actors do. Maybe he'll take the Adam Sandler route.
What's that?
The Adam Sandler route. I don't know. Do some serious roles and then come back and do a Halloween. QB's Halloween. What was it called?
Yep, I think you nailed it.
He's still able to charm and still can be funny, and given the right role, he'll continue to win audiences over, I think. Yes, there's a contingent that hates him. I can't speak tonight. There's a contingent that hates him on social media, but someone else will come along to dislike soon.
Yeah, it's not his last chance. I mean, I think, I was just listening to the Blank Check podcast. They were talking about Kurt Russell and why it was so perfect casting him as Star-Lord's dad, because Star-Lord is a very Kurt Russell-esque role, and that Pratt does that so well. And what I think, a lot of us have been wondering about lately is, why is he just doing these sort of very serious action-y roles? That's not his wheelhouse, and it's not like why we'd like him. But it's not, guys, the movie Avengers Infinity War is not that old, and he's hysterical in that. All that stuff where he's jealous of Thor and trying to one up him, that's like Pratt's wheelhouse. That's really fun stuff there. I think he will need to take that step back and maybe be like, maybe I don't do like just a straight comedy. Stop doing the like, I'm actually just like a serious action star thing. Not to say he can never do dramatic roles, but it really, when you see something like the Tomorrow War, it's like, come on, man. Like, I don't want to.
I forgot about that one. Oh,
right,
man.
right.
He needs a role in Oppenheimer.
Yeah. There you go. As the bumbling intern. So it's not his last chance, and I think Guardians 3 will probably, because guess what? James Gunn knows how to write really well for Pratt as Star-Lord, and he'll be very charming and fun in it. He just needs to then kind of find things that are properly, not, I don't want it to be Star-Lord exactly, but not Tomorrow War, more Star-Lord, less Tomorrow War.
Yeah, which unfortunately I think is his character from Jurassic World, who I've seen 2 films and can never remember. Owen. It's Owen. It came back to me. Owen, the guy Grady. With the vest.
Owen Grady, I believe.
Yeah. Iconic characters like that. But I want to move from Guardians 3 to another 3, because Xeno Hour informs me rather, that Boondock Saints 3 is reportedly in the works. We did it. We're going back to the Boondocks. How excited are you guys after? When's the last time you watched Boondock Saints? I'll pose that question first.
I've never watched it.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Guess what? I've also never watched it.
No. Oh my God.
Wow. I am
a big fan, are you, Spencer?
Well, yes and no, because I mean, it's insanely it's not a good movie, but it's got a absolutely great Willem Dafoe performance in it. Which is, it's worth watching for that alone. It's him completely unhinged, and that's always fun to watch. It's also the subject of one of my favorite documentaries called Overnight, which is about there was a documentary about the writer-director, but definitely writer of Boondock Saints, as he became an overnight success because of this movie and completely alienates everybody and gets such a big head and a big ego. And it's like a classic, Icarus story of true Hollywood, which is really funny when it's about one of the dumber movies that you've ever seen, but he's taking it so seriously, and he's like, I am the new Coppola. So I definitely think you should do a double feature with Boondock Saints and Overnight, and that'll be a good evening.
Yeah, I hear that a lot. I saw some funny tweets about this, about like, Troy Duffy, who's the filmmaker you're mentioning, like, will he remind everyone how much they grew to hate him? From the side, having not seen these movies, it's just funny to me that it seems like every 10 to 15 years we get a Boondock Saints movie. And it is also, I did think about it. It's interesting that Norman Reedus is doing it, only because Norman Reedus probably is very, very rich now from Walking Dead. So I guess he certainly doesn't have to do Boondock Saints 3, but I guess he's just like, sure, when I finish Walking Dead next year, before I get my spinoff of Walking Dead, I'll do another Boondock Saints. Why not?
Why not? Yeah. Relive the glory days. Well, I'm excited because I think as bad as it is, it's like fun bad. I don't know. It's like junk food Tarantino. It's not good, but it's the characters are so silly, and the fact that people took it seriously at any point makes it even sillier. We'll do this one question before we kick to the Eternals junket that we got. Jim One asks, with Oppenheimer, is Chris Nolan going for an Oscar? It sounds really different from his previous projects, unless he manages to weave in a time travel aspect. And it's a good point, Jim, because there is a 0% chance that Oppenheimer is told in chronological order, right? Can we just place bets on there right now?
Yeah, I mean, he's not going to be a million miles away from Dunkirk, surely. Stylistically.
Yeah. So this opens with the atomic bomb, and then it goes to him in university, right? That's 100% how the film opens, is with the explosion, and then it's like him at his dorm at I don't know, is he American or British? I don't even know. But yeah, I think that he's come close to. Has he never won an Oscar? Because he's certainly been nominated.
He's not won, I don't think.
Wow. I mean, his movies have won, like performances from his movies have won. Yeah. I'm sure they've won a lot of technical awards without looking that up. If not, that's a crime. But he's never won like Best Picture, Best Director, which is interesting for one of the most celebrated directors working today. I think this doesn't sound like an Oscar movie. It sounds like a Chris Nolan movie more than that. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if this one breaks through in 2023. So mark it down for when it's 2024, January 2024, and we're watching the Oscars. You go back to this episode on November 3rd, 2021. And mark it. I think this could be the one. This could be the one that does it.
Yeah, it does. It sounds like you said earlier, Spencer, it doesn't sound as innately action driven as a lot of his stuff, even though I'm sure we will get a giant IMAX explosion or two. But yeah, it sounds like it could be a little bit more of like a straight character drama than his other stuff. So, and certainly with that cast, there is plenty of room for actor nominations.
Yep.
So yeah, we'll see. And we already know that he had all those stipulations with Universal about how long he gets to play in theaters and don't open another Universal movie too close to it and all that stuff. So all eyes will be on it. And yeah, it certainly could have a chance to maybe get Chris an Oscar.
I think more likely it's his opportunity to kind of hit back at critics that say he's not great at characters. I think this is going to be his film where he draws some groovy characters and we all go, oh, okay, he can do it.
I hope so. Yeah, he's certainly got experienced enough and good enough actors to bring that characterization and that emotion, whether it's on the page or not, as is sometimes the case. You know, I sometimes it's Chris Nolan gets a lot of blame for Jonathan Nolan's writing. Which is plot first, character second, and you know what, that's fine because they're really cool plots anyways. But I think it can sometimes be a valid critique because they're more concerned with puzzles and ideas than they are with exploring a life. But if you're calling it Oppenheimer, you better just follow. We better learn more about that man than I know about that man. I need to know whether he's American or British by the end of that film.
Well, the Nolan brothers are confusing enough in that respect with their different accents. So,
oh God. Okay, I know we have an Eternals junket, but one more question came in that I really want to talk about quickly. Wendigo 2064. IFY, great screen name, asks, what other incredibly bland actor should voice both Luigi and Odie alongside Chris? Who else's voice is like a glass of tap water?
Matt Smith came to mind.
Oh, okay.
Is that cruel?
No, because I don't think Pratt is innately bland. I think he can be very charismatic. I think we're all agreeing has a voice actor, huh? So I think Matt Smith is a similar thing, a good actor, but you're not like, ooh, he'll really bring that dynamic voice acting to it.
I think you need a slightly different flavor than Chris Pratt, but still bland. So I'm going to go Zach Braff. I think Pratt and Braff as Luigi and Odie.
Pratt and Braff. I'm going to go David
Mayo
Caruso.
And slightly different Mayo. What's that?
David Caruso.
David Caruso. Okay. All right, those are our picks. Thank you for that last question. Glad we got that in there. And now Eric and/or Kim, please introduce this Eternals junket.
This one is me. Guys, I'm so curious for everyone to see Eternals because I think I liked it. I didn't love it. I liked it, but the reviews have been so harsh, so I'm curious where everyone will fall. In the meantime, I talked to Chloe Zhao, Kit Harington, and Leah McHugh, and we talked about Eternals and the fact that there are so many freaking characters in this movie and how they kind of approached introducing so many people at once, and some characters they might want to team up with, and et cetera, et cetera. So there you
Sweet. Let's watch that. We'll see you guys soon. Thanks for watching.
Throughout the years, we have never interfered until now.
Your movie stands on its own. It's telling its own story, but obviously it exists in the greater MCU, and that's a world where massive events have occurred, and the movie does address the Thanos of it all, but also it's just a world that has superheroes. So is that kind of something to keep in mind, that just that would be part of the day-to-day for these people?
Well, I was very encouraged to make a standalone film. I can feel it was a desire of the MCU when I read the treatment after the Infinity Saga. They must take a step back. I look at the bigger world of Marvel Comics and how far it has, because the movie is just the tip of the iceberg, right? And so as they go into the new phase, sometimes it's important to look to the past and to figure out what the origin is. And then that can maybe inform us moving forward. So I think it's a world of superheroes, but it's very similar in the spirit of how Jack Kirby created it. These group of people existed outside the popular mainstream.
Why didn't you guys help fight Thanos or any war, all the other terrible things throughout history?
We see this relationship. She's in this relationship when the film begins, Cersei, with Dane. And, you know, she has this connection to humanity that maybe all the Eternals don't have quite as deep a connection as she does. Can you talk about what it is about Dane that would draw someone like her to him?
Icarus and Dane, they're the two lovers of Cersei, right? At the same time, they also represent the two sides of Cersei, that she is trying to figure out who she is. Is she human or is she an Eternal? Because her past turned out to be something she not only disagreed with, but a lie in some ways.
I think it speaks very highly of Dane that Cersei chooses to be with him, because she's been around for thousands of years.
When she reveals that she has been around for thousands of years, he's, you know, the way I wanted to play that was that he's pretty cool about it. You know, and that, you know, I had to wrap my head around why he would be that cool about it. And I think the fact that he's in the MCU, that he's witnessed everything that's gone before, you know, it's not so mad that he might be dating a kind of demigod.
This is what the end of the world looks like. At least we have front row seats.
A really fascinating character I felt was Sprite, you know, because we get this idea that the torment side of this, just because she is trapped as a child. I was talking to a friend, it reminded us of the Kirsten Dunst character in Interview with the Vampire.
Yes, that, you know, that picture of Kirsten Dunst and Brad Pitt was in my pitch, you know. Impossible love, you know, it was never meant to be. And I wish we explored more, we filmed more of that. You know, we went a little further, but I didn't quite make it to the final cut. Some of us, I think, doesn't quite feel like who we are, how we perceive is who we truly are. And we can't quite break out of that, you know, and some of us has to learn to live with that.
I was really honored to have the opportunity to portray her, because I feel like there's not really any superhero out there like her, you know, considering her age and everything. Being 7,000 years old, stuck in the body of a child, she's really an old lady and an old soul. I sort of related to her. I sort of felt stuck being a kid a lot of my life. And I think Chloe chose a lot of us because we were similar to our characters.
We need to find the others.
This movie introduces a lot of characters. So how tricky was it figuring out how to manage all of them?
Some characters don't need the most screen time, but it's about what they do with the screen time they have to be memorable. And when we look at these 10 unique individuals, we thought about they represent 10 aspects of human nature. Who they become today is a big part of who we are. And so it was actually equally important that they remain memorable. All 10 of them have the same weight, not necessarily screen time, but the weight.
So now that Captain Rogers and Iron Man are both gone, who do you think's gonna lead the Avengers?
I could lead them.
Is there someone you'd like to see this character eventually encountered?
Personally, I don't know how they do this, but I've always been a big fan of Paul Rudd, and I love Ant-Man. I don't know if that would ever fit or work, but that's who I'd love to be So I'd love to work with.
Sprite and Spider-Man are sort of opposites, but they're also both young superheroes. I thought that would be really cool. Or Loki, because we have very similar powers and I think similar attitudes as well.